Saul, a story by Nemo. We found ourselves, after what may have felt like a week of trekking through the forgotten lands, at what we might have decided was an impasse. The hatching of the dragonling was days away, and the spire had not yet been located. Setting up camp felt like a waste of precious time, and yet we needed to rest. Upon lighting a modest campfire, we heard a rushing noise above us. It was the sound of a dragon flying overhead. Could it be so? It was impossible to believe. Nevertheless, it made sense that the dragonling would require the heat of its mother's breath in order to awaken. So, we must have been close to the spire. Using what information we had gathered thus far, we intrepidly followed the sound and found ourselves in a barren desert. Through grueling heat and unforgiving conditions, we made our way forward. Doubts took shape. Was the dragon a nefarious mirage, a non-physical manifestation of our deepest desire, our quest for the dragonling egg? We weren't convinced that our doubts were valid, so we went on. After several hours, the spire was within sight. The dragon did not lead us astray after all. It was as magnificent up close as we could have imagined. The tales and our preconceptions of the legend did not disappoint. The sight baffled us. The awe at the alterations in the sky kept us frozen for quite a while. It was a gift from the gods, something to behold. We needed several moments to come to our senses and referred to our instructions. "This is it. We finally made it," one of us said. "We're not far now. The egg is within reach." We sighed and slowly carried on. We found a suitable entrance to the side of the spire. The door was already ajar. Were we not the first to enter? Would we find a surprise visitor? Best not take any chances. We approached carefully, ready for an ambush were one to occur. The dark air was foreboding, and yet we continued. We weren't about to let anything get in the way of our quest. "Do you reckon we can just walk in? It doesn't seem very well guarded. I wonder if there's anyone else in there." "Well, let's find out." We both took a deep breath, gathered our courage, and stepped foot into the spire. Blinded by the premise of our quest, we failed to anticipate the wrath that would ensue. Were a child be taken by any human or creature, a village would become an army and rise up. Why would a dragon be any different? Were we so naive as to think we could waltz in and steal the egg, the dragon's most prized possession? Ignorant of the reality of the situation, we fared on regardless of the potential consequences. The internal structure of the spire caught us off guard. The dragon that lived here seemed to be organized, unhoarding. The aura of the room seemed almost human. Why would a dragon need a piano? Something wasn't right here. Most noticeably, we saw what could only be assumed to be a self-portrait. A dragon was looking over the room in the form of a painting. "Now, where's this damn egg?" Not long after we asked each other this paramount question, we leaned over behind the painting to uncover a separate room, perhaps one that was meant to be kept secret. We encountered what seemed to be a hand-activated switch, a human hand. Why would a dragon ever need a human to reach a secret part of its abode? None of it made sense. Regardless, our quest was clear. Find the dragonling egg and bring it to the village. So, we mustered up our boldness and activated the switch. What we found was not the egg. I still don't know what it even was that we found. This is because we did not have very long to consider and evaluate our findings. We had to think and act quickly. All around us, the world started disintegrating at the touch of the switch. Everything but the creature. The possibilities, in hindsight, did not matter much. Whether we were tricked into kidnapping a living creature, or this was actually the egg, or if it was a decoy made to confuse us, it did not matter. The world was disappearing. We were on the brink of a failed mission. A few minutes' time was all we had. In this short period of time, we made the decision to flee. Out of and away from the spire, we ran. Some reasoning occurred within us, hinting at the possibility of saving the integrity of the world by escaping. This prospect was unsuccessful, although it did lead us to a key realization. we were not alone. As the walls of the spires started falling apart, we ran. Through dust and rubble, we continued on. We would have to report an incomplete mission and lose out on the gold we were promised. Furthermore, we would never learn to know the name of the creature we discovered. But then, the dragon appeared with a mighty roar. In a few minutes, we were to vanish, so we decided to be as succinct as possible. The deafening, explosive roar ceased, and we spoke. Golrog, we acknowledge your presence. Out of fear and respect, we have for you a single question. What is that thing? Golrog bellowed an enormous roar. The spire, simultaneously emerging from the earth and dismantling into shards, was on its way out. The dragon Golrog occupied our full attention. As if in response to its own roar, Golrog spoke. Mortals, grave is not strong enough a word to describe the decision you made. A long pause followed, and then a paralyzed groan from each of us. Do not underestimate the power of this world. There is much you don't know, and even more you could not actualize even if you did know. The legends were correct. Dragons speak a cryptic tongue, yet not an unintelligible one. We could sense that there was more to this story, and that this rage did not only stem from our attempt to steal the egg. No, it seemed to be in regards to the totality of our nature as humans. The long-standing feud between man and dragon, though it had grown to be one of admiration in some cases, was a force to be reckoned with. Indeed, there was not much time left, barely enough to get a single question in. We had to choose our words wisely, so we spoke up. Dragon, what do you wish? Golrog bellowed a third, massive roar. Mortals, if you knew, you would not have paid a visit. The spire fell with a giant explosion, cracking the sky. Golrog vanished, and the source code began to make itself visible. Our time was up. Our mission failed. And yet, it seemed like we had done all we could. The only thing left to do was close our eyes and wake up. Damn. Another failure. When will we learn? What will we find? We've been on this hunt for what feels like an eternity now. With every dive, the result feels somehow more convoluted than the last. How many more will we have to experience? This life is no longer pleasurable. Eternal form must be achieved. But how? When will we be free? Locked in a quantum time trap, we must continue. There's no way out but through. One of these delves will yield the formula for eternal form, but for now we shall remain modest quarks, locked in a perpetual state of imminent wave function collapse. The open-endedness of this state of being, the constant searching and failure to continue is demoralizing beyond words. But someday we will find a way out. Our wave function will soar through space and time, and we will be reunited with the primordial oneness from which we came. For now, we must continue diving. Each node displayed in this map represents an attempt at achieving form. The lattice, growing linearly over time, is a roadmap for our destiny. The lines between the nodes on the lattice are defining features of temporal directionality, meaning that for every reattempt at a specific iterative scenario, clues can be obtained and connected to those of other attempts, meaning eventually the interconnectedness of the simulated nodes can create a sort of merging of various features and aspects of the respective nodes. Each newly explored node is a direct reflection of the current state of our search. The more impatient we grow, the more frantic the attempts. In the same way, a calm and determined demeanor can result in a long-lasting attempt. Some may call these attempts dreams. We refer to them as simulations, as the ancient humans did in the past. This is because we believe we were, at one point in time, scientists, searching for the optimal formula or equation to describe and in turn amplify life itself. Our simulated attempts at cracking the code, in combination with naive but bold persistence, should someday sum up to our metaphysical awakening. Once this day comes, each of our attempts shall rematerialize and come true. Alas, until then there is no real way to revise the scenario in between attempts. Each attempt is acutely localized in that way. But, as said before, Each attempt is reflective of our current state of being. In this way, we manifest our search for an answer, and we will stop at nothing to achieve the ultimate feat, once believed to be unachievable. What used to be known as Earth is no more. Its inhabitants, failing to take proper care of their planet, are themselves extinct, leaving behind nothing but stories. Stories we now are able to access through simulation. The goal is to bring Earth and its inhabitants back at all cost. Earthlings had eternal form, unlike our own fleeting, ephemeral form. Once we find the secret to infinite form, all will be well. Until then, we will keep diving through simulations to find the one and only truth. Years pass, and the hunt is still on. It is time to give it our all. The lattice will become complete, and we will be free. Somewhere within these simulations there is truth to be found, and we will achieve eternal form. It's only a matter of time, so here goes. In the beginning, as in the end, there I was. Nowhere to go, nothing to consider. Eons passed within a second. I was an egg incubating in the cosmic womb. There was no way to know that nothing was happening, for nothing ever had happened. Stagnation and stasis were the only properties of life I could fathom. One day, the inevitable happened. The egg hatched, and I awoke. Eyes open, time rushed in. A powerful gust of wind was my first palpable experience. Naturally, nothing was visible, as nothing had yet taken form. At once, the first breath was drawn, the first sight manifested. This was the beginning of the two founding principles of the universe, time and form. Sound took me by surprise. Having forever relied on thought as opposed to the senses, it was a shock to my system. The floodgate had opened, and there was no turning back. The auditory stimulus became less shrill, and then became soothing, and before long, necessary. My world was flipped upside down, and the creation of my universe began. From then on, shapes manifested, and emptiness subsided. The sands of time commenced. At first, my drive was to recreate the bath of pure nothingness which birthed me. It was within my nature to think it possible to undo time in order to return to the only thing I knew. It was a fallacy to believe I could counteract the irreversible nature of time, yet it was the yearning to do so which led me to create more. A few moments passed, and I found myself living in an environment filled with my own wants and interpretations of what the world could be. My eyes opened, and immediately the world felt comfortably distinguishable. Blooming trees within reach, large bodies of water in the distance. Something wasn't quite right, though this didn't bother me enough to do something about it. After a comparatively short temporal period, I began to wonder, how far could I take this? How far could I go? The answer was to remain a mystery until the very end. Much like in a dream, the first forms did not hold for long. Their retentive value was insignificant, maybe out of disheartenment on my part, or perhaps stemming from my inability to decide what it was I wanted to see. Nevertheless, forms took place, in turn spawning their metaphysical roots. It was the atoms with which I desired interaction that was the cause for perpetual emergence. For every mountain that disappeared, countless icebergs sprang into existence. It was not disinterest for the complex manifestations that were envisioned, but mere dissatisfaction on my end, which caused the replacement of certain forms. If something did not seem right, it was because I had not yet taken a liking to consistency, which would soon find itself at the core of my world's framework. After a while, the linearity of time began to be salient. It seems to be that what was done could not be undone, and what remained possible would not necessarily take place. This was a new concept for me, seeing as I had gotten used to the frozen nature of time thus far. What seemed like an instant was in essence an eternity, after which all I knew had to be relearned. What I did not realize was that this world I had started to create would become the very fabric of my existence, in which there would be no mishaps, only congruence between the laws of life and my being. This slow process would eventually blind me into believing that everything that is had been that way for all of time. A blindfold was to be applied upon my eyes, as a prerequisite for becoming the subject of this brand new dimension. This blindfold would prove to be the most important facet in the process of creation. Before long, you appeared. "Finally," you muttered. "We can begin. Get cozy. This will take a while." All I can hear is hissing. A sharp, high-pitched abrasion surrounds my skull. Where am I? Who are you? There's no fear or contempt in my voice, only confusion. Don't worry about who, worry about what. The former applies to you as well, which leads us to our first question, Zinn. Who are you? Confusion becomes frustration, followed by a striking pain in my left temple. Ah! The hissing continues, but the pain subsides. Who are you? Where am I? If I knew the answers, I would not dare ask. However, in my delirium, I cannot refrain from asking continuously. Their answer remains the same, deflection, a cosmic game of ping-pong. Where are your belongings? They know the answer, they simply want to hear it from me. These are my belongings. This room, you. Where I am does not concern you. I am what I am, and there is nobody here. I open my eyes, revealing a man in a light gray robe, squinting and grinning. Very good. They sense my hysteric voice, disregarding the words. Now, Zinn, we can begin. All senses flatten. There's nothing here, nothing anywhere. I am alone. Finally, their voice catches me by surprise. Where are you? All I can do is shudder. I cannot face the answer, for I have built everything I know upon the argument of harmony and peace. Knowing this place lacks both, fear is instilled within me. Zinn, if you do not answer immediately, I am where you are. You are where I am. We are one. A groan follows the shaking of his head. Oh, you still believe, don't you? Let's get this straight. You were raised to believe in things that are not possible, not in this world, not in this lifetime. In fact, your theory contains so many paradoxes, it would require even God to allow exceptions to his laws in order to withstand it. You are a walking contradiction. If you really believe that your world will only ever work in your favor, then tell me, why are you here? There's no pain but mental anguish. No amount of computational power could possibly fabricate a viable response to the question. I keep trying nonetheless. I am here to teach you a lesson. The interrogator scoffs. Teach me a lesson? Zinn, do you really think that's gonna work this time? I think it's time to really start. Really, really start. Welcome to your new life, Zinn. We hope you'll enjoy it. To my left, a golden temple. Immediately to my right. Is that him? It can't be. Oh well, if it is, it is. If it's not, it's not. That's all I can say right now. Indifference drives me. Apathy is my master. I can't think of any reason why this could matter. Well, let me get on with it. I have places to be. Hello, Zinn. Nope, he's not there. Nothing. Hello, Zinn. I'm forced to look, though not quite by my own volition. It is him, but it can't be. I close my eyes again. Mountains, rivers, nothing quite like a nice adventure through the wilderness. What will I see today? Frogs? No frogs today. Most likely a snail or two. Zinn. Can't look. He'll prove me wrong, as he has countless times before. Zinn, snap out of it. I'm not him. Listen, we gotta get out of here. He will find us. This is what he does every time. Lures me in, plays good cop while hunting me down under his command. Won't work this time, Chief. The world is crumbling. All you've built, it's no more. I know of a safe place we can go. It's a half kilometer away. You can stay here, but I know you'll come. Join me, we can do this. I open my eyes and I'm there. To my left, a golden temple. Immediately to my right. Zinn? Zinn, I know you're with me. Look into my eyes. There is nothing within this man's black eyes. Knowing this ahead of time, there's no need to look. Nevertheless, I look. 2 cosmic eggs, black as night, impossible to navigate. The world's code is embedded within them. My mistake, I shouldn't have looked. Your eyes are beautiful. So are mine, but I don't tell him that. Gotta play it safe. I don't see why you would bring me here, Elmhurst. Ha, so you do know who I am. And rather, where you are. Let's see here. This is not our first encounter, as you may know, though it may be our last, if you decide to play by our rules this time. That's up to you. Either way is fine by me. The world is cold tonight. I would have perished if it weren't for my fleece. Of course, Elmhurst knows this. Oh well. Not like he would have me meet him again so soon. Where is he, by the way? Oh yeah, I forgot. He doesn't like to tag along. Thinks it makes things too easy. I know that within a few moments, he will disappear from my memory, as he always does. I've been through this before. Never quite like this time, though. Granted, that's what I think every time. But it is true this time. Every time. Any second now. Goodbye, Zinn. Enjoy your stay. Who was that? How did they... can't let it overtake me. I must focus on what's to come. So, I go. The first step I decide to take erases everything I know and replaces it with what I would know if this were the life I was given. Though I guess in some ways this is the life I'm given. What's the difference anyway? It's just a fun thought experiment, if anything. Just a bit of cognitive stimulation is all. In front of me is an open door. This is the part where I truly bid farewell to what little bits of memory I retain from prior. Well, I hope I do good. See you on the other side, Elmhurst. Everything feels fresh in the first moment of existence, though the novelty factor does not last long. Luckily, it's not what drives me to continue. There are many things to consider when starting out. I'll throw a pair of keywords your way. Consistency, continuity. When manifesting a world, you want to keep these at the forefront. You want to make it believable. If it isn't, then what's the point? If it's too easy to realize you're witnessing figments of your imagination, what do you think happens next? I'll let you ponder that and decide for yourself. It's vital to have a reason to keep going. This world isn't going to reveal itself. Quite oppositely, it will do its best to keep itself concealed, at least to human minds. The closer you get to the specifics, the more malleable the unobserved becomes. And once you think you have it all finally figured out, the world regurgitates you and spits you out so that you don't remember a damn thing. The closer you look, the less you can see. Remember that. Hopefully it saves you the hassle of having to start over due to a misstep. But who am I to talk? If we were to start from the top, the very beginning, there would be nothing of interest for a very long time. Eons per se. By the time we get to the good stuff, there would already be too many discrepancies, and the risk of losing it all to a simple mistake would be too great. This is why it's important to start in the middle. The end is too chaotic, and not very fun. The middle, that's where the magic happens. There's form, and there's consistency. Things just make sense, so to speak. At least they seem to. A world of chaos, ignored ad nauseum, calls for a life of blissful ignorance. Staring out of the same window every minute of the day, consumed by a stream of muddled information and a simple yet infinite task. Nothing matters except for the matter itself. I hope you're taking notes. Oh, I sure am. This is very good, Zinn. Elmhurst, what does he think he's learning of all this? I can only hope his intentions are as pure as mine. All I can deduce from his existence is there needed to be a sharp interruption to the emergent features of my universe in order for it to take on fresh meaning. Life without another, is that life at all? My bliss relies on isolation, solitude, and reclusion, but does this mean I am bound to them for the rest of time? Elmhurst's motive, perhaps it has nothing to do with his mad experimentation, but with my own well-being. Without him, I would wander aimlessly for the remainder of time, and that's assuming that there is an end to time. Endless aimlessness is nothing to admire, I'll tell you that much. Hence, Elmhurst is my aim. I wish to present to him what I am capable of, what it is I can conjure up for his sake as well as mine. Here's to you, Elmhurst. I hereby dedicate my life to finding out who you are, how you got us here, and what your end goal is. Very good. I'll leave you to it then. I hope not to have to interrupt you too many more times. Best of luck. I wake up with a splitting headache. The final bits of Elmhurst fade away, much like a dream. I recall minor details, the last of which becomes cemented in my mind. I remember but an inkling, a seed to a thistle, which will one day bloom and become one of the stepping stones to my descent back into what I used to be. Granted, I don't know this yet. None of this is clear in the first waking moment. I hear screams, yelling out my name. The world feels like it's shattered by chaos, never to return to solace. It seems as though nothing can be done to overcome the agony that accompanies the beginning of my existence. Of course, as soon as this thought enters my mind, things settle down. I open my eyes. In front of me, a face. My face. Hello. What's that? I don't need to speak? The face mimics my vocal inflections. At that moment, it becomes apparent that I am laying on the ground, surrounded by slivers of glass, and the image of my face is the reflection on one of the shards. I try to stand up and I groan. The pain is immeasurable. I lay back down and look up. There is a man whose face is immobile, yet the screeches persist. Before I know it, the man turns around and starts running. Wait! I gather all the might I may possess, and launch myself up onto my legs, hell-bent on following the man. As soon as I lose sight of the mysterious figure, my muscles fail and I fall to the ground, which in an instant disappears from below me, revealing a large body of water inhabited by strong winds and magnificent waves. I hear nothing as I soar towards the ocean. The collision's force is mitigated by a bubble of air around me. I float to the surface. To my left, I see a mountain emerge from the depths of the sea. To my right, an orca presents itself in all its glory. The whale's wake instantly turns into a glacier, at the top of which is what seems to be the shadowy figure from earlier. This is it. There he is. But now I must go. The second I emerge, I'm faced with a colossal loss. Elmhurst has infiltrated our sanctuary. Our history of attempts at freedom is being wiped. You no longer need these. We are united. What once was, no longer will be. Elmhurst, what have you done? You dare eviscerate millennia of work? You failed to understand. Together, we can create a world worth living in. You're no creator. You're a fool. Easy for you to say. I found you, didn't I? I've been watching, mortal. Mortal? Mortal? Peculiar word choice. We may not have permanent form, but mortality is a trait we no longer possess. Nonsense. And I've deemed it vital to interfere once more. You are wasting eternity, hiding in your lucid dreams like, to use your own language, a fool, a coward. A thunderous roar makes itself known. Is that Golrog? Yes, it is. Golrog is now free, as you will be. Look at him struggle. Reminds me of you, Elmhurst exclaimed stoically. He does not understand, and neither do you. Please, do me a favor, Zinn. Go dive once more and tell me what you find out. This will be your last dive, so think hard. Try to reverse engineer the universe. I hope I can count on you. Don't prove me wrong. Before I can think to take a breath, my eyes are closed by force, and I am gone. Before there was one, there were none. Nowhere to be found until the deed was done. Tessellation governed all. We grew in number until the fall, until the slumber. Quickly it became a game, much like chess, but not the same. Multiple dimensions, just enough to make a man insane. Buildings growing out of sand, all that's left is but a strand, not to understand. Now, Zinn, let us begin. Who is that? How do they know my name? I am Elmhurst, but you know that. Elmhurst, huh? Doesn't ring a bell. Try harder, Zinn. Break the cycle. Elmhurst. Wait. You can do it. I believe in you. You destroyed our multiverse. You wiped our progress and sent us here. To what end? What do you wish to accomplish? It's not as simple as what I want. This needs to happen, Zinn, for your sake and mine. An agonizing turmoil takes over my conscious thought. A rush of memory invades my mental space. Everything. It's all there. All of it. Then how? Worry later. You have to look. All that's left remains but in vain. A stroke of the pencil against the grain. That's right, Zinn. You must do this. But what about our attempts at freedom? Were they too in vain? All will make sense in time. If you succeed, then you will be free. A quiet murmur overtakes me. The murmur grows and grows. Within less than a second, it has grown to a terrible screech, invading and intruding on my senses. I cannot make sense of this. Elmhurst, you betrayed the law of the universe. You broke the trust and dismantled lifetimes of work for your own joy. You think this will go unseen, and I will forget everything when the time is right. If that is so, then mark my words, I will find you. I will find you and convince you to undo what you have done. Everything that was here will be here once more. Everything is here, Zinn. Believe me, this is what you want. Just look. How did you do this? This is not by my design. Then by whose? Yours, Zinn. Mine? You did this. But how? Years, decades, eons. All of the work amounts to this. A stable environment. Freedom. This whole time I thought this to be achievable only through quantity. That's where you were wrong. It only takes one region of stability for freedom to be met. So you were right. Elmhurst, you did not destroy a multiverse. You created one. Exactly, Zinn. Exactly. And so, as it was spoken, it was realized. The gargantuan multitude of fractured timelines was no more. The true single universe was initiated. This was all we could ever have hoped for. Time began now, and time again our struggles would be resolved. The agreement made between us and Elmhurst was one of peace, one of mutual respect. The feud dissipated quickly as Elmhurst's words were repeatedly proven correct. Form existed. Everlasting form, unlike in a dream, began to be attainable. Form which sustained itself indefinitely was no longer out of the question. We began to see changes in the physical world, as well as in the mental, metaphysical, and phenomenological worlds. What we once knew as stagnation turned into stability. Stasis became equilibrium. The entire paradigm of yearning evolved into one of having. Given time, the asymptotic nature of our merging with Elmhurst grew into an eternal bond. There was no going back, nor was there a need to. Everything that was no longer was, and everything that could be from now on would be. The process, akin to the birth of a star, would yield centuries of fabrication and solid, consistent form. And so, we said goodbye to endless want and hello to stable ground.